So the SMMIG project was primarily designed to strengthen the institutional capacity of the government of Ghana to manage irregular migration. But specifically, the project worked with the Ghana Immigration Service, which is the main agency mandated with monitoring movements into and out of Ghana. So the project was designed to strengthen their capacity to manage or combat irregular migration. And to do this, to involve ensuring document security, so document fraud detection, investigations, prosecutions, and of course, intelligence gathering. So the project, I have to say, all the areas of intervention was based on an extensive needs assessment of the GIS. And based on the needs and gaps identified, several layers of interventions were designed to help the GIS enhance their performance, their operations, and their effectiveness. So when we say capacity building project, it's not just about providing trainings, it's also providing the tools needed for the officers. So in addition to trainings, which the theoretical part of it, there was also the practical aspect of providing training materials and also equipment or devices which the GIS need to carry out their jobs on the field. So as a capacity building project, it looks at the GIS holistically. What do they need in terms of knowledge? What do they need in terms of equipment? What do they need in terms of devices to enable them to carry out their mandate? And this is what the project addressed.
And I was delighted to work with ICMPD as part of the SMMIG project to support the Ghana Immigration Service, the GIS, to develop their 7-year strategic plan. One of the things we did was we really focused on following the results-based management, the RBM approach. We did this for a few reasons. The RBM approach is really a way to move from focusing on the activities of an organization to focusing on the impact, the outcome, the real change that the organization, that the GIS in this case, is able to effect. And so there's a few learnings that came out of this process. I would say one of the learnings was the maximum ownership really pays when doing this kind of work. And what I mean by that is we really tried to encourage the GIS themselves to assess their own needs, to determine their own vision and mission for the organization, and to identify the real issues, the problems that the organization faces, with a view to then flipping those and figuring out what is actually needed to affect that change. So we worked with GIS to gather together both the leadership, the executive team, the regional commanders of the organization, as well as the rank and file, the different members of the organization working at different levels of seniority, bringing these people together in different configurations to identify those issues, brainstorm solutions.
One of the best practices for that manual is that it's brought in human rights, fundamental human rights, as part of investigation of offenses. It has also defined the elements of offenses, especially Section 52 offenses, which is how I call it in the manual. Everything was explained. It's a one-stop shop for both people who are training to be investigators and people who are doing investigations.
The Immigration Act 2000 at 573 is the main law in Ghana that deals with migration management. The main legislation through which we exercise our mandate is the Immigration Act 2000 at 573. And you have gone through a series of programs at developing the new law at the Ghana Immigration Service.
So during the implementation of the first phase, which was very focused on document security, we found out there were some gaps in the way document fraud is investigated and prosecuted. Because it's one thing to work with officers to enable them identify fraud, but there's a move to go a step further, to investigate, to find the perpetrators, not just the people who did it, but the people who also produced the fraudulent documents, to be able to take it to court, because prosecuting and getting conviction is important as a deterrent to discourage people from engaging in the crime. So this was the gap that was discovered in the first phase. So in the second phase, all these things were included. We included trainings on investigations, trainings on prosecution, trainings on intelligence gathering. We also included equipment for the prosecutors, for the investigators, to enable them to do their jobs. In addition, the first phase was very focused at the headquarter level with some trainings at the regional level. But for the second phase, there was a lot more focus on strengthening the GIS operations on the field in other regions, the Borno East, Ashanti, Ahafo regions, which are quite popular for migration, irregular migration to be specific. So the second phase also targeted these areas to ensure that the capacity is not just at the headquarter level, but it also trickles down to the regional level.
In this component, all regional commands, including the headquarters, some officers, selected officers, were trained in document fraud detection. Component 2 dwelt basically on strengthening the legal department, the capacity of the legal department in the area of prosecution. So some officers were trained, in fact countrywide, selected to be trained, they were trained in prosecution, investigation and intelligence. Component 3 had to do with, we had a component on cybersecurity.
We have conducted about 18 prosecutions and secured 16 convictions in cases relating to identity thefts and people seeking to obtain Ghanaian documents through fraudulent means. Many more that time will not permit us to mention. So this is how the training of prosecutors under the projects and the training of investigators under the projects have jointly helped in fighting breaches of immigration and immigration-related offenses across the country.
In the intelligence business, we can't do it alone. No institution does intelligence alone. So as you gather information to process and analyze into intel, other agencies also do the same. So in that business, they need to collaborate. So Ghana Immigration Service does collaboration with NID. We share information with us. We also do the same with Yoko. In fact, there have been times where we've had trainings together as the officers of various agencies, and we share best practices. So we are the key embodiment of keeping the borders of Ghana. We host the database for wanted persons in Ghana. So as the key holders of this type of agency, all the agencies will need us in apprehending persons who are on the wanted list, trying to escape the jurisdiction. So we are a key component in all this business of intelligence. And as much as possible that we need other agencies, they also need us.
I'm in charge of enforcement. And enforcement, our mandate is to investigate breaches of immigration laws. So we conduct investigations into persons deemed to have breached our laws. And those found culpable, we prefer charges against them for the legal department to prosecute. The SMMIG program has been very beneficial to us in the sense that the training that they offered our trainers, who in turn are training more officers at our various commands, is giving us the opportunity to have a lot more investigation done at the various commands and the districts.
So when it comes to the SMMIG project, the training of investigators started about a year ago in August 2023. And in the course of the training, we were taught a whole lot of things about docket building, interview, and then how to also write statements, and how to even find elements of certain crimes that has been committed. And in doing so, I was able to develop my skills. So in developing my skills, when I go back to my station, we encountered certain cases. At first, it would have been an offense that maybe it wouldn't have been prosecutable. We'll just grant the offender bail or something. But because of this investigation training, we're able to take the offenders to court, prosecute them, and now we've secured 2 convictions, one on human trafficking and also one on illegal entry as well. Before coming for the training, cases were mostly referred to HQ because that is where we had most of the experts or people who had knowledge in investigation and then in also prosecuting as well. But now because of this training, investigation is done at the regional level, and then the offenders are prosecuted at the regional level.
SMMIG has offered about 30 of us an opportunity to be trained as prosecutors. And as a beneficiary, the training was organized in 2022. So from training, I started with the training that I was given. And as we speak now, I'll be able to prosecute about 8 cases. And out of the 8 cases, we won or we gained conviction in 4 of them, ranging from the minimum is 5 years in jail, and the highest I got was 15 years. So one person was jailed for 5 years, 2 people jailed for 8 years, and then the other person for 15 years. So as we speak, the training that SMMIG gave me as a prosecutor has yielded so much results.
The skills and knowledge that we acquired throughout the training program, we started applying it, especially on the intelligence report writing, specifically using the bluff approach in intelligence report writing, where we are to present the most important information and summarize it and put it at the top for our superiors to understand what the full report entails, just reading the summarized portion at the top. We sometimes go on surveillance, we engage in surveillance activities, and with our knowledge and skills acquired and profiling skills, we are able to even get information from people who are not even ready to speak. We had a case which involves human trafficking, where the information that we had was only the telephone number of the suspect and also the picture of the suspect. Prior to that training, we had little knowledge, or we were not familiar with telephone call analysis. Because of that training that we attended, we were able to request for the telephone call records and able to analyze that report and produce an intelligent report, which was forwarded to our investigations team. And they were able to apprehend or arrest the suspect or the syndicate involved through the program. I happened to be one of the selected officers to be trained as trainers, and then the knowledge that I acquired and the skills, we are planning, the service is planning to also, and for us to also teach other officers, especially those intelligence officers at the borders. We are ready to also go there, teach them, share our knowledge with them, for them to be updated or abreast with what we've learned, and also be able to improve or enhance their capacity building.
We will say that we thank the ICMPD for the step that they have taken to support the Ghana Immigration Service to achieve this very important milestone that we have achieved, for making this a success for the Ghana Immigration Service, and we'll put the unit to good use. And one day they will hear from us that we are doing a lot in the cyber space in protecting the critical information infrastructure of the Ghana Immigration Service.
When I was transferred to the operations department here at the headquarters, specifically with the investigations unit, I realized that there are certain things that were not being done right. From building of case dockets through to court, there were things that were not done right. And even sometimes in human rights issues were not being handled rightly. But with the knowledge and skills acquired, thanks to ICMPD, we now know how to build our case dockets for courts. We now also respect and value human rights, we make sure that people who are arrested are detained for just 2 days. After 2 days, if there's a need for us to go for remand, which we do, there's a need for us to go through full trial, which we do, and we give them an opportunity for them to equally be legally represented. On behalf of the Ghana Immigration Service, Inspector Asogwefia Jerry Foster here, I would like to express my appreciation to the International Center for Migration Policy Development, that is ICMPD, with support from the Danish government for the funding to officers of the Ghana Immigration Service for us to be trained to become prosecutors who we are today. We thank them. We pray that they will give us more support in every aspect of the service, not only prosecution, but to investigation, to other aspects of the service that is being needed.
I'm one of 5 or 6 trainers that handled the intelligence module of the training. The feedback we got was very positive. Very positive in the sense that prior to the training, areas of operations such as report writing, for instance, was not that organized. But after the training, all the participants started writing reports that are well structured and organized. Secondly, their performance on the job had also improved. Performance in the field of observation and profiling, then also even on the field of surveillance. Even though we didn't particularly take them through surveillance, their skills in observation and profiling greatly improved their surveillance skills as well. Then when it comes to analysis, the first training program was about analysis, even though I wasn't part of the trainers for that particular program. When they came back, you realize that the analytical products they were churning out were more better and much improved than before the training. The time and the effort and the funds that they invested in the training programs, and also some equipment that they extended to the service. That's not only intelligence. We appreciate that so much because training is very, very, very expensive. And over the years, we've been looking for sponsors to help us conduct training programs. And so ICMPD and SMMIG coming on board was a great, improved our efforts a lot. And that is what I can say.
So for me, a key takeaway is the need to work based on the needs of the target institution. So the project was developed in very, very close collaboration with the GIS to ensure that every intervention was addressing a need, was addressing a gap. So this helped us to ensure that it was fit for purpose and was addressing what the GIS needed. In terms of best practices, the project also ensured that we relied a lot on local expertise. When I say local, I mean Ghanaian expertise. Although we tried to do a combination of bringing in expertise from outside Ghana just to help broaden the perspective, but there was also a lot of focus on working with experts from Ghana who understand the Ghanaian context, who understand how things are done in Ghana. So there was a lot of focus on this. And I think it also helped to strengthen the trainings because the examples that were given was based on the local context, and it made the trainings and the capacity building activities more realistic for the officers. So in terms of sustainability, ensuring that the people who are trained, the pool of trainers that has been set up by the projects continues to be used for trainings. They are continued to be deployed in areas where the skills will be used. These are very important in ensuring sustainability.